So here it is, the Alesis V49. 49 keys, 4 octaves. That's the middle version of this. It also comes in a 25 key as well as 61 key, which is a little bit different. Most of the MIDI controllers that I see nowadays usually have like a 25 key or a 49. Not a whole lot are messing with the whole 61 thing. But yes, this comes in a 5-octave version as well. And what's really cool about this is just the way that they have it set up. You know, a lot of the controllers have the buttons like on top of the keys. Well, in this case, it's really long and slender, and all the fun stuff is over here. Before I break down the keyboard, let's talk about what's in the box. It's really not a whole lot of stuff. So it comes with this USB wire. And as you can see on the back, there's not a whole lot going on. This is a very minimalist MIDI controller. And it has the sustain port for a sustain pedal, which is important as an essential. And then it also has the USB wire, which means that this is completely bus powered. Okay, and as soon as you plug it in, you see that there's a blue backlight on the knobs, as well as behind the pitch bend and mod wheel. When you push these buttons, they light up in a nice blue as well. And also when you hit the pads, same cool blue lights up as well. Now, if you're just getting involved in music production, have no fear, because even though this MIDI controller has no built-in sounds, that's what a MIDI controller is. There's no sounds in the unit. There's no programs, there's no piano sound. It's completely empty until you plug it into a computer and have programs to go with it. But the cool thing about this package deal is Alesis has included a copy of Ableton Live 9 Lite. Live has a lot of built-in sounds, but it also comes with a really cool VST called Air Expandy 2 to give you even more sounds. So there's plenty to get started with just the purchase of this MIDI controller. I also actually took a look through these manuals. I normally don't take a look, but since I'm doing these reviews, I feel like I should be pretty well informed. And I honestly didn't learn very much, so don't waste your time. Let's go back over here, and I'm going to really explain everything and the pros and cons of what just, you know, my opinions are. The pads, they feel pretty good. So I just loaded up some drum sounds inside Battery 4, and they're mapped pretty strange. So the first 4 were straight in a row. That was cool. And then for some reason, you know, the top left over here is on cell B2. That next one is on A6. This one is on A7. And then this one is on A11. So there's really no rhyme or reason that I can understand. Now, there is a way that you can actually program the MIDI data inside the keyboard to fit whatever DAW or whatever VSTs you're working with on a permanent basis, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But for right now, just straight out of the box, that was the default setup. Kind of strange, but that's what it is. And you know, there's nothing saying that you just can't work like that and be fine. Now, in terms of the feel of the pads, I'm gonna give them a medium. I'm not even gonna give it like a number, so out of like low, medium, high being high quality, like from an MPC, or I also really like the pads of the Launch Key. Launch Key has really good pads. These, actually, you know what? I will give them a number. I'm gonna say that these are like a 7. They have some pretty good give. I watched a review, someone said that they were double tapping. That doesn't happen on mine. It works great. And they have pretty good give, so I feel like it's a pad that won't get worn out too quick. It is velocity sensitive, so that's cool. Now over here to the left wheel, we have the pitch bend. And it defaults back at center. Feels pretty good. Over here to the right, we have the modulation. And that slides and stays pretty much wherever you set it. It does not snap back to the center. And the bearings inside feel smooth. So good quality as well on the wheels. If you want to access the extremities, you can always use the octave transpose. This is pretty standard on every MIDI controller. So it's not as fast and as responsive as it is on some of the other keyboards, but you know, you can make it work if you're a little bit more delicate with it. Over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 toggle buttons, and it looks like you push it and then it stays enabled, and then when you push it again, it's released. Yes, Alesis has actually included its own software to manipulate the controller data itself, so you can actually make this button turn into you know, just like when you would release, it would stop lighting up. So I can't remember what the different names are called for that, but you can actually change how the buttons operate 1 through 4 on that. And as well, you have these knobs up here. This is pretty standard. You can assign these to any parameter pretty much that has the MIDI learn feature inside your DAW or your VSTs. Not a whole lot of bells and whistles, just pretty much what you need. Not confusing. Simple is good. I like simple, and everything is pretty good in terms of quality. So let's go and jump to the actual keys now. This is what really caught my eye the very first time that I saw this controller, because it actually has a square front on the keys. So it looks like real legit piano keys on a MIDI controller. That's pretty much the only MIDI controller that I've seen that has this option where it looks like, you know, it's a legit key. Now, don't be fooled. They're not weighted, they're not semi-weighted, they have this front cover, which is nice. I like how it looks. Now, how it feels is another story. So I play little keys. I'm mostly a horn player, but I'm doing my best to get around. And what I noticed right away is that the action, there's more resistance than what I'm used to feeling. It's like the springs inside each key are stretched a little bit too tight. And just to make the keys go down, you need to be a little bit more deliberate on every single note that you hit, because it takes that much more effort. I actually don't like that. Not saying that I couldn't get used to it, but it just feels different than what I'm used to. In addition to that, because these keys are light, actually they make a lot of noise. So not that that really matters. You're not necessarily miking up the MIDI controller. All the sounds go directly in and become MIDI information, but they do make a lot of noise. So that's really the main reason why I was interested in getting the keyboard, is because I was thinking that because it had the flat front, that the keys were going to be, you know, like a step above in terms of quality. And I got to be honest, I prefer the keys of, you know, all the other MIDI controllers that I've tested out so far that kind of have like the hollow keys, if you will. Anyway, that's pretty much all about the physical design of the hardware itself. Let's take a look at the software that comes with the controller so that you can really manipulate the data if that's what you want to do. Okay, this next part is for all the tech geeks out there that really want to get into the inner workings of the V49. It comes with software that allows you to edit the parameters of the MIDI controller on a permanent basis. Now, pretty much all of the parameters that you can manipulate can be also changed inside your DAW and inside your VST. So I actually would not recommend doing any kind of major global permanent changes unless you find that, you know, something is just reoccurring and you don't want to have to always reassign it. Then it actually would make sense to use the software, make that change, and then it's permanent for all your sessions. Okay, this is the editor. So to get started, all you need to do is go down here and click Get Preset from Hardware. And just to clarify, so my device setup is set, V49 editor out as the input and V49 editor in as the output. So there's a bunch of different things that you're able to edit. In this main window, you have the option of getting the presets, the current presets from the hardware. This button down here, whatever modifications you make, when you press this, it sends it back to the hardware. And then you're also able actually to make the changes and not print them to the keyboard. You can actually save them to the computer itself. So you could share with friends, whatever, and you can also load them up as well. So that's basically what the main panel does. Over here we have knobs, and you're able to edit the mode as well as the MIDI channel, the CC, and then the range, min and max. Switches, this is what I was talking about with the numbers. So right now it's set to CC toggle. If you want the buttons to perform in a different way, you can actually change the mode. We're going to try CC momentary right now and see what that does. So I just changed the buttons labeled switches on the editor to momentary as opposed to toggle, and as you can see, I push it down, it lights up, and as soon as I release, then it releases as well. Now these controls can be assigned individually for switches 1 through 4. So right now 1 is set to momentary, and you can see it activates like that, and as opposed to 2, 3, and 4, it's set to CC toggle, where it kind of latches like that. Over here in the drum pads tab, we're pretty much able to edit very similar functions. Note, CC toggle, CC momentary, program change. So yeah, you can really get into all this stuff. You need to know what these terms mean. This is more for the advanced user. There's Keybed, if you wanted to actually transpose the instrument, change the MIDI channel, octave. But you know, these parameters right here can be edited inside the DAW itself. You don't really need to make these changes inside the editor as a global permanent change. But if you want to, that's how to do it right here. Pitch mod wheel, same thing. And this one is an important one, sustain pedal. Sometimes the sustains, the actual pedal is backwards. So if you've purchased a pedal that is sustaining when it's not pressed down, all you need to do is reverse this. Pressed should be 0, release should be 127. Send that back to the hardware, and then your pedal will work properly. So overall, I have to say that this is a pretty good board. I like the setup. I like the simplicity of it. You know, everything is over here, and then the keys are over here, and it's very, very thin. So if your studio setup calls for, you know, just like a sliver, this might be the perfect one for you. As I said before, I'm kind of a little bit disappointed in the keys. I'll be able to get used to them, but straight out the box, it is a little bit different than what I was hoping and expecting. That's pretty much it. Not a whole lot else for me to say except, you know, thanks for watching. And if you learned something, please go ahead and click the like button, hit that subscribe button. Lots more cool reviews on the way. I just bought a bunch of stuff. So stay tuned for that. For the current price, I know these have come down since it was initially released. Go ahead and click that link in the description below, and it will take you to Amazon.